I'd like to call the order March 3rd workshop with the updates on transition, team building, and the heritage committees. If transition wants to come on up, maybe first on the
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Don't forget to collect your dollar.
Yeah. Mr. Carol, don't forget to get your dollar. I'll meet you at the, come out tomorrow, I'll buy you a drink. All right, so the transition committee has met 4 times, and we have gone through a wide variety of things. I've sent you guys, I believe it was Thursday evening, I sent you a copy of our notes and everything that we've talked about. I don't really have any recommendations tonight. I just need to give you guys an update of what our action plans are and where we are and what we're trying to get accomplished. The staffing, of course, is still working with Dr. Pickles as she works with FADS to develop that for the school year. So we have no update on staffing, which is going to move us to our biggest piece, which is the inventory at all the schools. All schools in the outerline areas, Greenville, Pinetta, and Lee, have completed a furniture inventory at each school. They've all been submitted for review. Once staffing has been finalized, the individual furniture needs will be established with the newest, the most unblemished furniture that we have, and determination of furniture for each individual classroom will be assessed by the Madison Central School Administration with the input from the individual teacher. Our plan is to accommodate every teacher with their wish list, as long as present inventory allows for it. Each outerline school will prepare an inventory of all their school supplies, all their teacher supplies, office supplies, excessive inventory from the outerline schools once they're moved in. They will be stored between the high school and the central school. Tim again is preparing an inventory of the machinery, the outdoor equipment, the janitorial supplies at every school to determine what's needed for the remainder of the school year, what will be left over, and then determine storage and move of that excessive equipment to either Madison, the high school, or to the central school. Tim and Iris are determining which cafeteria equipment needs to be moved and replaced at the central school or the high school, and Iris is determining how to move all the excess cafeteria supplies, ingredients, foods that she has left over. We've gotten with Isaac in the IT department. They're inventorying all the electronic equipment, the TVs, the computers, the computer charging station, overhead projectors, anything that deals with IT, he and his group are dealing with. Once classrooms are cleaned out at Madison Central School, our plan is to set up these individual classrooms with the TVs and charging stations just so that it's already prepared before August gets here. Isaac is planning on hiring some contractors to help move some of those technology items from the outerline schools and to determine where storage is going to be for those. We have decided that cameras are going to remain active at all the outerline schools as long as we own the property and as long as we have things stored there. We're going to maintain our cameras at those locations. Any questions about furniture?
Yes. Go ahead. Let me ask you, Dr. Pickles, didn't we have something out for bid?
Yeah.
That's exactly, we have something out for bid.
Right, for the movie.
For the meetings.
Yes.
Right, but I think
And
Isaac was...
And in that bid, wasn't it for containers and all that stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
That they would do all that, so we got something out for bid for that. That's my question.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's around April 7th.
Well, the
3rd?
bids should come back the 21st, and then we will vote on April 7th.
Right. So we'd have something by then to get moving.
Now, you said Isaac gonna have somebody for IT. Isn't that included with that too?
Well, they're gonna move all the furniture and stuff.
So is the IT stuff included with that?
It will be,
Well,
so, but there's,
And then, now Isaac just can't hire anybody. That has to go out for bid also.
the contractors will be doing stuff like mounting the charging cabinets back to the wall. That's separate from moving services.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you can't hire anyone. That has to be placed for bid.
Yeah, well, we have
Yes.
established contractors that we
Yeah.
already work with.
Okay, so. That's all.
What I'm thinking, aren't all the classrooms filled out there? Paula, you would know that. With furniture?
At Madison
We have
Central?
about 8 that are packed with storage of furniture.
Okay.
There's about 29, if I'm correct, Mr. White?
Yes.
About 29 that are extra rooms, and about 8 of those extra rooms are packed
Yeah.
with furniture and stuff.
I'm gonna get to that in
You
just
mean-
a second.
So,
Oh, you,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I'm
you're
getting,
gonna get to that?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
We've addressed that, yes.
Because I
ma'am.
was gonna say, where's
That-
the furniture?
That is our first action step, actually, as a group, is the clean out of Madison Central School.
Clean out.
Well,
Well, okay. you can
I'll
have-
explain that
Yeah.
when we get there. Katie Roberts, as far as the library consolidation goes, she has submitted a plan of action. I've included it in your packet that I sent to you with her dates and times and how to get things accomplished. But I think her deadline is July 15th. She's going to start at Lee, and then she's going to work around to the other schools. She's going to start at Lee as soon as the Lee City Library reopens fully, because the school already uses the library there. So that's going to leave her the ability to go ahead and knock Lee out and get that out of the way, and then move on to the other ones. Any items that are deemed unnecessary or excessive will be considered for an online auction or a donation. This is, we base completely after the central school is fully equipped, 100%. Anything that's left over, we'll bring it to the board, decide if you want to go to online auction, if you want to donate, that's y'all's decision. But we're not doing anything, we're not giving anything away, we're not selling anything until we know for a shadow of a doubt Central School is fully equipped and the high school is fully equipped and nobody needs anything.
Okay, so those extra classrooms that are not being used at Central, are those fully equipped too? Because we're gonna need those.
Yes, ma'am.
classrooms. Okay.
We're gonna fully equip
Okay.
Central. We're not gonna leave a stone unturned when it comes to technology or furniture or anything. We're gonna
So
have
some
things.
of that stuff can be used.
Yes, ma'am.
In those classrooms.
Absolutely. When we talk about the clean out of Madison Central School, that is a high priority for us. There are a total of 29 classrooms at Central School right now that have to be used for classrooms next year. To give you an understanding of the 29, 8 we are using right now, just 8 classrooms are full of storage. And our goal over the spring break is to remove all of that storage material out of those 8 rooms and get them stored in Greenville. And set them up in an orderly fashion to where people can, if we get to the point if we're auctioning them, it's simple to do. If we're donating, people can come in and see what we have. If they want to buy, then they can come in and see what they have. It's all going to be organized and well laid out at the Greenville. So during spring break, we're going to use a work crew from MCI. We're also going to use trustees from the Sheriff's Department, that if they have any. The district doesn't have any proper equipment to actually move this furniture to Greenville, so we are looking into a truck rental that we've requested because we don't have anything. I mean, there's a trailer out there that can move a tractor, but when you start talking about tables, desks, and things of that nature, we just don't have anything to move it with at all. As far as our timeline goes, we've kind of moved some things around a little bit. From Monday through Wednesday of spring break week is when we plan on cleaning out Madison Central School and having those rooms ready to go, so that the week after spring break, IT can come in and determine TVs, charging ports, charging stations, and things of that nature. The supervision and the coverage for this transition and this cleaning out is completely done by the volunteers within our committee. If you want to know the individual people, I'd be glad to tell you who they are, but our committee has determined that we're going to volunteer our time to make sure that that gets taken care of. Okay?
Yeah, we're gonna work up something for free.
Well, it's hard to work for free, but if there's a need, we're definitely gonna do it. Curriculum that's in the outer lane areas, Robin Hill and Paula Kaufman will go to each location. They're gonna sift through all the curriculum that's there. Usable curriculum will be sent to the central school. Unusable or outdated curriculum will be disposed of. The medical group, the Florida Department of Health, is going to handle their own consolidation to Madison Central School. And any excess materials or supplies, they're going to be stored either at the central school or the high school. That's to be determined. And we're not exactly sure exactly how much excess they're actually going to have at that time. And the SROs are going to be required to move their own equipment as well. Anything on inventory control? Yes, ma'am.
Going back to what I said, you said there's 29 classes. Does that mean 29 empty classes right now?
Well, there's 8 being used for storage, and 21 are
8
being
of those
used.
29.
21 of the rooms are either office spaces for somebody. I think
Okay.
there's a sensory room in one of them.
Well, were they originally classrooms?
Yes,
though?
ma'am.
Where did the furniture go to?
I have no idea.
Because it was fully stocked. That school didn't need a thing when it was
It's
open.
probably
And
one
the
of those
furniture's
8
still, they're using the furniture.
Furniture in the 8 rooms.
Yeah, it's probably in the 8
They
rooms.
put those 29 classrooms into 8 rooms then.
They've stacked and packed in there. Yes, ma'am. It's to the ceiling.
Okay.
There is a lot of stuff in those 8 rooms. There's, I mean, a good number of items in there.
We've also shared with the other schools, like if they've ever needed pieces of furniture, we've shared.
I can't hear.
If another school needed a piece of furniture, Lee Greenville, Pinette, even the high school, somebody needed a piece of furniture, and Central School had the furniture, then we gave furniture for them if needed.
That's a lot of furniture for 29 rooms, because,
Right. And not all those rooms were completely stocked with furniture. Some of them may have had, like I said, an office where it didn't have the desk and the student tables and chairs and all that. But majority of it is in those 8 rooms that are being used for
okay,
storage.
well, I was just wondering, I couldn't. Thank you.
Any other questions when it comes to inventory? All right, so curriculums, Robin and Paul are going to handle. They're going to sift through all that. Medical, again, Florida Department of Health. And the SROs are going to be responsible for moving all their SRO equipment and supplies. Records management, all schools have been going toward electronic records. To give you just an update, Lee is at 100% complete. Pinetta is about 60%, and Greenville is about 30% complete. The goal is, and Robin's going to work on trying to get everybody to 100% by the end of the school year. A shred truck is going to go to each school during the summer. They're going to shred unusable or expired documentation, and all other documentation that we're required to keep will be stored. And that's to be determined exactly where we're going to store that.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody on the committee in agreement with all this work and doing all this work?
Yes, ma'am.
And then there's Paula and Robin working to the end of whatever. That's a lot of work.
For the curriculum, it is.
That's the question, that I want to discuss with this board. I mean, that's too much work for free work, what Robin and Paula will be doing. Just a thought.
As far as the end of year closeout for teachers, teachers at Greenville, Lee, and Pinetta will receive specific instructions on the transfer of items to Madison Central School. The goal is to have it by May 17th. I've included it in your packet. Essentially, every teacher is going to receive 20 boxes, 2 packages of packing tape, markers, labels for their boxes. It's going to take place over a 5-day period, which are all the post-planning days, Friday, May 23rd, and then from Tuesday, May 27th through Friday, May 30th. If you'll look at the packing and moving guidelines, it is a step-by-step process on how to do this. We were able to get with a couple of different schools that have consolidated before, asking questions. How did you move teacher stuff? this is a culmination of different processes put together into one that we feel is really spelled out in layman's terms to where there's really no misunderstanding to it.
Well, we moved from the primary school to Central, and there was never a problem. Just put them in a box, and they took them over there.
You would hope that would be the
It was
case.
very simple.
I'm hoping that's gonna be as simple as this one will be as well.
Back to this thing one more time.
Yes, ma'am.
Back to Robert and Paul again, because it won't leave my mind.
Okay.
Now, will this be on district time or off the clock or on the clock or whatever? Because like I said, it's a lot of work.
They're talking about the curriculum part.
Hopefully on the clock, but as Mr. White said, we'll do what we need to do to get things moving and get things done. A
Okay,
lot
so
of
I
it-
can leave it alone then. You don't
a lot
want
of
no
it-
compensation. I'm gonna do
A
with
lot
it.
of it will come down to the fact that which pieces what things do we need to keep? Because that's the main thing. If it's good,
And I'm
if
just
it's within
saying
the
off
best
the clock.
standards, then that's what we'll do.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
talking.
And I appreciate you thinking about us.
Uh-huh. And so I was just saying, if it's on the clock on district time and district hours, I can understand, but if it's gonna be other things off district hours, so you really just volunteer, I'm finished with it. Just wanted to
We'll work hard
clear
on
this
trying to
up
get
and
the
get it
hours.
straight. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, and I mean, it's not even just curriculum. I mean, a lot of them are giving up their whole spring break to go transition the buildings,
But
so,
see,
yeah.
And so if I start the conversation, y'all finish the conversation with, you
Right,
know, the
that's what I'm
ideas that
saying.
you
I mean,
have.
if you have to take it all, you have to take it all into consideration if you're gonna look at that, because you have staff who's giving up their whole vacation to be able to
Great job.
transition,
And see,
you
that's
know,
off the clock.
and they're gonna be off the
Yes.
clock, so that's something that we need to take into
That's
consideration.
exactly-
That
that's
is.
off the clock.
There's many of our staff members that will be working during spring break to volunteer.
And they need this little time. for
Amen to
spring.
that. That's facts,
This is a tough part of the school year, absolutely.
Mhm, and
yes.
They need this time
Yes.
to relax and be away, and that's something we should think about.
It
Absolutely.
is.
I
It
agree.
absolutely is.
I totally agree.
So with the moving during the post-planning and the packing up during post-planning, teachers are still going to be required to do their district-provided end-of-year checklist at the individual schools. After consolidation occurs, all schools will go through an extensive clean-out process. The process will be determined after all new, up-to-date, usable, and needed items are utilized at MCCS and MCHS. Any item, again, that is deemed excessive or no longer needed will be stored, donated, or auctioned. As far as the auction goes, that has not been determined by anybody. We're doing research on different auction groups and different auction platforms. Once all that information has been collected, we'll bring that to your board, and that will be probably a recommendation that we'll bring to you.
We've had this option when we first got on the board, remember?
Well, it never actually happened.
That's exactly what I was-
We approved there to be an auction, but the stuff is
But it
still
was
at
so many
Central School.
complications
Yeah,
concerning
yeah.
it that we didn't do.
It's a lot of
auction.
work.
Mhm.
So,
Other than that, that's what we have as far as the transition goes. We met again earlier today just to go over things and clarify and get things accomplished. So we're going to meet again after you guys meet. If y'all have any questions or concerns or want to bring something to us, we'll be more than glad to entertain them.
Well, my concerns were not negative, they were positive
Yeah.
concerns concerning staff, so.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. I'm really proud of the group that I'm working with and that's involved in the transition. Because, I mean, there really was no hesitation when we decided to give up our spring break for this. So, I mean, it's a group of
And so that's
honest,
something maybe, you know, we would talk about doing spring break now.
yeah. The people that have volunteered and quickly volunteered, I mean, they care a lot. They
All
want
of
this
us care.
accomplished.
All of us care.
But I'm just talking about the ones that,
Compensation,
yeah, it's not saying anybody else doesn't care. It's just that I can attest to the people that are giving up spring breaks.
so you don't want it.
What the hell? Oh, I'd love to help. I'm glad I'm glad it's coming. Absolutely. But that's all I have from the transition committee.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, appreciate that. Okay, let's go with the Heritage Committee.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Melinda couldn't be here tonight, so she asked me to do this, and I'm on the Heritage Committee, and we were charged with much easier than what you guys are charged with, thank goodness. But trying to create some way of keeping the heritage of the schools that are being closed. But our group also decided to take it a step further and go back to the schools in Madison that have already been closed. Greenville Middle, Greenville Training School, Greenville High School, Madison High School, Madison Middle, and then the schools that are being closed now. So we decided to make we've met twice, and we've decided to make a survey, a community survey. So the handouts look something like this, but you should know that because you should have already done yours.
Come here,
on.
let's scan
I
that
did
QR
it.
code.
It's a first I've seen it.
First you've seen
That's the
it.
first time seeing it.
Got it now.
So we were on the steering committee too. and
Got
the
it.
People on the
I've already
steering
got one.
committee said they had not received it and seen it either.
Okay, well, it was sent out, it's supposedly in the newspaper. We sent it to the newspaper. The article was in there today, no, wait a minute, what's today? That would have been last Friday.
Friday.
And it was also sent out on Facebook, district website, Blooms, placed at the flyers were placed around the community. But some of the things that are on this survey were, where should the memorabilia be housed for public view? One example was the Treasures of Madison. They have some places there that they've agreed that they can do it, but we wanted to make sure that the community had input. Somebody suggested the district office, and so I was like, I don't know, don't think about that.
That's gonna be.
No, just kidding about that. All right, and then we talked about what kind of items would be housed: yearbooks, old jerseys, trophies, report cards, newspaper clippings, any of those kind of things, photographs. If anybody has any photographs that they would like to either donate or have them copied, and we can get them back to them. Basically, those are the kind of things that we were looking for. So where and what, and then it was in the newspaper, I said all that. We had to respond by the 18th of this month. We'll meet again on the 19th to go over that data, and but you can also do it online through the Google Docs. You also do a mail-in. The information was there in the newspaper. And then, let's see, what else that I needed to tell you? Oh, and there are drop boxes at each school, too, that they can drop off the paper version. Okay?
Okay, you answered, how the surveys went out. What about the responses? How many responses did you get for the county?
It doesn't close until the 18th.
The 18th?
Yeah.
Okay.
As of last week, I think there were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
No, you
12,
won't get
13, 14. Okay, so we should have at least
You're not gonna get one from me
14.
because I'm gonna decide on the vote.
I know, I'm just saying, but you can tell somebody else too. So, any other questions?
The 18th?
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yours was easy.
Okay, team building.
Good evening. How's everybody doing this evening?
Well, thank you.
Good. I'm coming this evening, not for recommendations, but just updates of where the team building committee is, with unifying everybody and getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody excited about consolidation and becoming one school for next year. So one of the things that we did was constructed a survey and put the survey out to the teachers and staff at Madison County Central School, Pinetta, Lee, and Greenville. This was not a community survey, it was just a staff survey. And so you have a copy of that survey with you. And by looking at just the survey, we can see that it's about half and half as far as whether or not staff are comfortable with it or a little concerned. It's about half and half a little bit. When it comes to the concerns, some of them feel like class size, the class sizes are going to increase, but I don't foresee that to be a problem because the teachers will still be there and the class sizes will be about the same. Some are worried about changes in policies and procedures. I'm sure a lot of that stuff will be the same. No matter where we go, we always have to accept a little bit of change. And then adapting to a new culture. Those were some of the top things on that particular piece. Opportunities to see what's for the upcoming year. They're looking at possibility of more resources for the teachers and staff. So that's what they're hoping for to see, as well as more collaboration with larger teams. And there's more details on the survey, so later on you can go through there and look at all the details. The one question was, have you participated in any team building at your current school in past years? Majority of people said yes, we have participated in some team building. What kind of team building do you find most effective? A lot of them said lunching together. Don't we all like to eat and talk at the same time? As well as informal social gatherings and some professional development workshops. Those were some of the top items. What challenges do you see we're going to face with new teams and working together? It's lack of time, and that's with anything we do in life. There's not enough time to get it all done in a amount of time. But, as we're all doing, we'll work on it and we'll see where we can get with it. Providing time for professional development after school possibly through this year, through the summer. We have a in-service day coming up March 27th, and so they have some time for collaboration at that time as well. What type of team building activities would help ease the transition into one school? Some people talked about, the majority talked about cross-school team building before the merger, as well as professional development on collaboration. We are having some collaboration and some team building activities coming up on the March 27th in-service day, where all K-8 teachers will be together and we'll be collaborating and doing some team building. What kind of team building and stuff would they like to have? They prefer something after school and being paid for it, which I don't blame them, or doing something during the summer and being paid for it. Not as many were for after school social gatherings, which was kind of odd because they said the best way they like to do it is with food and activity, that type stuff, but then not gathering after school. And the last one would be improved teamwork and collaboration. Just more scheduled time for collaboration. So making sure they have the planning times together, and then when we can schedule some after school and summertime professional learning and that collaborative teaming together. Any questions on that so far? Okay. The other document that you have in front of you is just kind of an overview of some of the things that are going on right now. Tomorrow, March 4th, the sixth graders from Madison County Central School, Lee, Pinetta, and Greenville will all convene at Madison County High School because they're having a career day and would have loved to have used the gym for the career day, but since the floor is being redone, that career day is being done at the high school, and the students are all being bused over to the high school for a wonderful, packed day of activities, hands-on demonstrations. From 50 to 55 different vendors are going to be there tomorrow. So that's going to be an exciting day. So if you get a chance, go out to the high school. I think it's all day? 9 to 2. Okay. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are all included in that. So great opportunity for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from the district to be able to see different career options that they have. Additionally, on March 27th, which I talked about was our in-service day, we're going to be doing some team building activity. All K-8 will be together from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And then from there, we'll have breakfast during that time, do some team building activities. Some of the grade levels will stay together after that to do some more team building and collaboration, while other groups go to do other things. But we're trying to get as much time in there as we can for the collaboration. On May 9th, our 6th grade students will all gather at Central School. Hopefully the gym will be ready by that time. If not, we'll adjust for a STEM day. And for the STEM Day, we're inviting vendors to come in and do some hands-on demonstrations with the kids based off of STEM activities. And some of the people we have so far, such as University of Florida, Swanee River Water Management District, 4-H, Weather STEM, a high school robotics team coming over. We're going to reach out to the Sheriff's Department for their drones and several other different STEM activities. Right now, we have it set at 6th grade, but I would like to actually get with my team building committee and see if we would like to consider doing a different grade level, because it's the 6th graders that are also going to the career day. So I'll get with my team and see what they would like to consider. On May 12th, 13th, and the 15th, all pre-K to 5th grade students from the outlying schools will be transported by bus to Madison County Central School, and at that time, they will do a tour of the school. One group will go in the morning, one group will go in the afternoon. During that time, they will see the area in which they will be being educated in, as well as seeing the library, cafeteria, and gym and stuff. And then Ms. Brown is going to plan, and her team are going to plan a few activities for those kids, some fun activities for them to do before they have to get back on the bus and head back to their schools. They'll be having lunch at their own schools, and then we'll switch and bring back another group. The only thing that's different on yours, actually, I think I switched it on yours. On May 13th, we're going to have 3rd grade in the morning and 2nd grade in the afternoon. So if you had something that showed that, we switched those because I have some 3rd graders at Greenville that are doing some tutoring, and I can't mess up that tutoring time. At our next meeting, we want to discuss setting up some parent-student open houses at Central School where the parents can also come and enjoy an open house and have some collaboration amongst the school and staff. And so at our next meeting, we will be discussing setting up something like that. And I'd also like to add, if you ever have any suggestions or recommendations, please feel free to email me. Our team will look at them and consider them. And as always, you're always free to come and join in setting up the activities or provide some assistance, or just come and enjoy the day with us. So any questions?
When you sent your survey out, what schools?
Schools, it went to the schools that would be affected by the consolidation. So that would be Central School, Lee, Greenville, and Pinetta. Yes, sir. Somebody else over here has a question.
I like your ideas.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Like I said, we just wanted to get the kids, involved in it, give them the opportunity. When it came to the open house with busing the kids in, we talked about, okay, well, you could do it at nighttime, and the parents could bring them to the open house. But the problem with that is not every child is going to have that opportunity. And we wanted every child to have the opportunity. And so by busing them in, every child gets to come. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, any more discussion on this?
That's the last of
That's
our
it?
workshop.
Okay,
Our
we'll be
updates right
adjourned
now.
now until the board meeting at 6 o'clock, if everybody's okay with it.
Yes, move to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 3rd Madison County School Board meeting. Ms. Minor, if you would bring your student up for the prayer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. This is Elsa Elmore, and she is 9 years old, and her favorite color is teal. And her favorite subject in school is reading, and her favorite principal is Miss Reese.
All right, let's all stand.
That we stay healthy and safe the rest of the school year. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's have the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay. We're going to go down to the agenda. Amendments to the agenda. We don't have any.
No amendments.
No amendments, so do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Knight to adopt the agenda. Anybody got any discussion on it? If not, all approve. 5-0. Public comment. Anybody sign up? No public comment. Consent agenda. 4.1 is the minutes. 4.2 is fundraisers.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Have a motion by Ms. Gibson and a second by Ms. Thompson to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, all approve. 5-0. Okay, item for individual consideration. 5.1, personnel changes. Dr. Pickles?
Before you this evening, we have a couple changes, and there was an update literally within the last hour that I'll make you aware of. So we have a teacher, 3 certified teachers, one at Greenville. Ms. Dickey will be part-time, so you see that. And then we have 2 at Central. And then we have 2 resignations and a termination. The one at Central, it was a leave fill-in, but she's had to go ahead and resign due to family support issues. She was going to do leave of absence, but she doesn't have the family support here, so she's going ahead and resigning.
Okay.
And then we have on the second page, we have substitutes and tutors, so I do ask for your approval.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the personnel changes and volunteers.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to accept the personnel changes. Any discussion?
I will need to recuse myself from the after-school tutors on my husband, Matthew Thompson.
We probably
Need to separate it?
We'll
need to
separate
separate
that.
it, and so if you could amend your motion
Okay.
to approve everything but
Yes.
that.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, I will amend my motion to accept the personnel changes and volunteers excluding Matt Thompson.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Does the second stand?
Second.
Second. Motion by Ms. Knight, second by Ms. Hagan.
I've got something to say.
Just 1 second.
Okay.
Just 1 second. To approve the personnel changes with the exception of Matt Thompson at this time because his wife's on the board. Okay, any discussion on the personnel changes?
Yes, I'd like to say something. I'd like to say something about the termination. I feel like she was a very hardworking person. I appreciated what she did, and I wish her well. Will she be getting, what type of payout will she be, what will be the repercussions of this for her? Mr. Reeves?
as far as I know, whenever a district employee ceases employment, they get paid out their vacation, they get paid out a percentage of their sick leave, and so whatever she's got on the books at the time of termination, she'd be paid out. Other than that, I am not aware of any payout. Is there any? There's nothing other than that.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that clarified.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all approve. 5-0.
Mr. Chair, I would move to accept the volunteer of Matt Thompson.
Okay,
Second.
have a,
And then Ms. Thompson, you announce on the record your conflict, which is you're married, right?
For the record, my husband is Matt Thompson, and I will abstain from voting.
okay. I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to accept Matthew Thompson as a after-school tutor. Any discussion? If not, all approve. Okay, 4-0.
And then, Ms. Thompson, you're aware you have that form you have to fill out.
Okay, we're gonna move on down. Did we do we didn't do volunteers.
Oh, that's next.
Okay, 5.2 volunteers, Dr. Pickle.
We have one volunteer that I do ask for your approval. It's for a central school day trip.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the volunteers?
I move to accept volunteers.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson, second by Ms. Gibson to approve the volunteers. Any discussion? If not, all approve. 5-0. Okay, 5.3, staff travel.
None at this time.
None at this time. 5.4, field trips, Dr. Pickles.
We have two. The high school high tech will be traveling to Tallahassee, and then Pinetta will be traveling to Valdosta, Georgia, to Wild Adventure. So I do ask for your approval of both field trips.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the field trips?
I move to approve the field trips.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Thompson, second by Ms. Knight to approve the field trips. Any discussion? If not, all approve. 5-0. Okay, consideration of Consolidation Committee recommendation, Dr. Pickles.
As you heard during our workshop last week, the activities and sports committee made several recommendations. They are attached there for you. So I thought it would be best if we went by, we can do these either collectively all at once, or we can vote on each recommendation one by one. So I would suggest we go through these one by one.
Okay.
So we can do that. Now, I know that I did have some questions as far as cost and things like that, so I will remind everyone that this is, as far as cost, how much this will be, as far as supplements, that's all negotiated once we go into bargaining with the union. So I can say, it'll be $1,000 per club, but that's all negotiated once we start that. This is right now just to accept these, and then the next step would be once we go into bargaining. So the first one was the committee recommends the district move to a countywide athletic director with the understanding of the following. The AD will not be able to teach a full load, so we'll have to cut back on some of the classes while at the high school. The district will have to staff those periods of the PE and that the AD will miss. The district AD duties will include administering rules and paperwork related to charter school student athletes. Bless you. As well as traditional public school student athletes. And that also should include homeschool students. And then recommend the countywide report. The AD would report directly to the superintendent to avoid too many bosses, and then have them housed at the high school. And I know that it was also stated during the workshop to make sure they worked with the principals.
Yes.
Before coming and making any recommendations. So that was the.
That is an added one.
Yes, yes. I had that in my notes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm using the printout they provided.
Okay.
So that is the recommendation from the committee. So what is the pleasure of the board?
Okay, we have a recommendation for a countywide AD. Do I have a motion to approve the countywide athletic director?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the countywide athletic director.
Have a motion by Ms. Knight. Do I have a second? I'm gonna pass the gavel.
Second.
Oh, you got a second? Okay, that's good. Got a second by Ms. Hagan. Is there any discussion?
I've got some concerns for this.
Okay.
Right now, not knowing what the future is going to be, we've closed up 3 schools due to finances. This will, and I've done some research on this, there's an athletic director at Central presently and at the high school. Okay, this would involve, is this, in other words, are you suggesting taking those 2 positions away and putting this position in place of those 2?
That's what it'll be, just one athletic director, won't be
Okay,
2.
so there,
Won't be 3, won't be 1.
okay, so that, okay. All right, I'm still, I think right now, in the situation that we're in, not knowing what the future's gonna bring, trying to elevate the teachers' salaries, I can't justify, because to me, it looks like there's gonna have to be another position hired here. If they can't do their duties during the day, that means bring on someone else. Am I correct?
Well, it's on line 2, it says the district will have to staff those periods of PE that the AD will miss due to AD duties. So I do feel like I personally need a little bit of clarification. I'm not against this in any way, but I would like to openly discuss it a little bit more and what this is gonna look like. I know we can't talk about salaries because that's, like you said, union negotiated. But I would like to maybe have a little bit more clarification on that and what the outline of duties would be, maybe a little more specifically. I definitely think there's benefit in this to have someone that oversees all of the AD duties, and doesn't have extra things that they have to oversee.
I'd like to remind everyone that we only will have 2 schools after this school year. Not 22, not 202, 2 schools. We're not big business here. As a matter of fact, we're very small business that's going, and they're projected to have 100 less students, which is a lot of money for next year. So right now, I think we should be more concerned on making wise decisions and not thinking about adding more to it. And like you said, yes, we cannot predict the cost. Once we say yes, they're going to tell you, you okayed it.
You know, I understand the idea behind this, and I'm not at all against it.
No.
I just, for me, I guess I need a little more clarification as far as, are we thinking that an existing PE teacher will take over the duties? Or are we thinking we're gonna have to hire an additional PE teacher? Just a little more clarification.
Would it be according to the principal? He runs the school. So the principal would assign someone probably who has a free period or something, whatever. That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
I would think it would be the existing PE teachers between both schools. And as far as the supplement, there's currently 2 supplements for AD.
So you're not
So-
paying those.
But there's no guarantee that this one position will equate to both those supplements, though. They may say, we're going to give them $10,000, or, we don't know.
Well, that's something that's negotiated between the board and the union.
Right.
We would still have to approve that. I mean.
Yeah, you're right. And now, I'm not opposed to it either, but I like to have a healthy fund balance, which of course, I don't even know what it is right now because
Thank you, neither
we're
do
in limbo.
I.
But, getting back to the committees, now, I thought in my mind that they were formulated to have a healthy transition, from the outlying schools to come on in, to preserve the heritage, in other words, I'm all for it. I like the ideas. But now when we're getting into, oh no, we need to hire this and that, now that's getting into another area that I'm a little uncomfortable with.
But I hadn't heard anybody say they're gonna have to hire anybody.
No, you're consolidating 2
Consolidating
positions
2
into
of them. I
one.
mean, I don't
Well,
understand.
You're
I know that.
consolidating 2
Another
people
thing-
into 1 person.
I know that.
Another thing-
I've read it, I can read, but
It's supposed to
Well,
be,
clearly not.
it's supposed to be that countywide AD does, because right now, we have 5 students that's got Division I offers for next year. That AD has to make sure that they have all their classes lined up, their test scores lined up, all these sort of things. You just don't have time to just, I mean, yes, you do have time. Yeah, you do. You have time after school, like you doing now. He's meeting with parents and all now. Are we gonna wanna pay him for meeting after school? I mean, it's a lot. People don't realize how much it is
Yeah.
to be in there. I do.
Well,
But-
my next question then would be, because I completely agree with you, I understand that. But, so I want the record to show that I get that side of it. Has this been discussed with our current AD by the committee? You know, and then.
He was in the committee.
Okay, well then my next question is, are we getting into, and I don't know what the union contract says as far as, I'm just thinking out loud, if we're eliminating the AD position at Central, do we then get into a seniority? I mean, does that just by default go to the AD at the high school? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the AD at the Central School, I'm just being devil's advocate here, the AD at the Central School has been on staff longer, so I don't want to get us into a sticky situation where we're fighting with the union on, well, this AD has been on staff longer than this AD.
So I'm understanding what you're saying, it's not an automatically filled position.
Right, right. So
I
there's
got you
so
on
many
that.
considerations to take, I mean, to think about before we make such a decision. You know, we need to have more clarification on how this will
They're gonna
play
apply.
out.
Right, I agree. Now, getting back to this, who I was accused of not being able to read. The AD will not be able to teach a full load of classes while at the high school. They will not be able to teach a full load of classes at the high school. That means someone's got to be in there teaching. So there's that's what's got me a little concerned, let's say. Yes, I can read.
Okay, well, maybe it's your hearing that's not working, because she clearly said that the current PE teachers would be picking
Well,
up that class
if
load.
they can do it, if they're available to do it, yes.
So maybe your hearing's off today, not your reading.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to
Disrespect.
recommend that we table this recommendation and revisit it.
Do we have a motion and a second already?
We do.
Yeah.
We have a motion, a
So
second.
what you can do is you can do a motion to table. That's a superior motion, and then that, if there's a second, that'll have to be heard first.
I'm going to make a motion to table this and ask for further clarification.
I don't, what clarification? I mean, what,
Well,
No.
Wait, you've got a motion, so
process.
let's see if you
Yeah.
got a.
do we have a second to table?
I second.
Yes, you
Well,
did.
we have a first and second on the table, so we need to handle this.
Now, the motion to table is not a motion that you discuss. That
Right.
simply goes for an up or down vote.
Yeah.
Okay, no, so
I
we got a
understand
motion
this
and a second
understand
to
where you're
accept
coming
it. So do I,
Well,
You got a motion and a second to accept. While you were in discussion, you got a motion and a second to table. The motion, a second, and table comes first, and so you have to have a vote on the motion, a second, to table.
Okay.
If that passes, then it's tabled, and you would not proceed with the motion and
Okay.
second to
okay.
approve.
So I did second the table.
You seconded it.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Thompson to table the athletic director, countywide athletic director, and we have a second by Ms. Hagan.
And I second that simply because I'm understanding her point.
right, which is what I was going to
How a
recommend.
position will be filled, it doesn't automatically go to
Right.
a certain person.
That's why I was going to amend mine to say, that we would approve it contingent, review
So
of the
we'll be
contract with the union.
Working that out.
Okay, all approved. All opposed.
Now, one thing, when you're strictly applying the motion to table,
You
it
gotta be
stays
at the
on,
next meeting.
no, it stays on the table until somebody makes
Picks
a
it up.
motion to
Back
take it
up.
off of the table. What you can do is you can do that, or the other thing you could do is you could right now tell staff when you want to reconsider it. So if you wanted to reconsider at the next meeting, now would be a good time to say that. And you can do that by consensus of the
Will the
board.
next meeting be timed?
Well, that's what I was going to say. How long do you think it would take for the union to research
Because they're
that?
going to be out on spring break.
Right.
There would not be
Yeah.
time for the next meeting.
could we have this reconsidered at the April 7th meeting?
So,
Yes, I should be able to by the April
Okay.
7th.
Now,
Yes.
and the issue about whether or not the seniority and all of that
the
applies,
process.
that's a question better directed to Mr. Dietzen, for him to give an opinion rather than the union. I've never had a situation where we asked the union, do you have to negotiate? They haven't said yes.
Well, I just didn't know if there was a contract in place currently.
There's no separate contract for athletic director or any of those positions. The question is it under your collective bargaining contract?
Okay,
And that's what you got to figure out.
so that gives you enough time to do that?
And it doesn't automatically go to a certain person. Everybody applies. The process of how it's supposed to be done.
All right,
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
the second recommendation was, they had reviewed and the possibility of adding soccer to the sports at the high school, but their recommendation was not to add girls soccer at the high school and no tennis at Central School at this time.
So do nothing?
So do nothing. So then the committee reviewed the possibility of increasing club activities offered at the Central School. So the committee recommends the following clubs to be added at Madison County Central.
Wait, before you go there. So agenda item 2 was to take no action. So obviously, if y'all do nothing, then agenda item 2 remains. And so now we'll move on to agenda item 3. Okay.
So the committee reviewed the possibility of increasing the club activities offered at Madison County Central or Madison County High School. So the committee recommends the following clubs be added at Madison County Central or the high school. So the first one was the committee recommends exploring adding the theater/drama club class at Madison County Central. And so I will go ahead and preface this, but most of these, the ones they're wanting to add at Central is to be a feeder to the high school. So, and then there were a couple I think they were wanting to add for both. Do you want me to read over the whole list? You vote on this list
Please,
at
because
one
the
time?
General public.
Okay. They recommend bringing the SGA Student Government Association to the Central School. FFA, Future Farmers of America, recommend is adding an certified ag teacher so that they can teach ag at Central for 8th graders and include the FFA. The benefits would be CTE points for Central, in addition to 8th graders receiving a 9th grade science class credit. They recommend adding FCA club at Central, and Mr. Matt Thompson volunteers to start a club at Central. FCA camps already participated and are for football and cheerleading. And he was going to get with the club sponsor at the high school to go ahead and work on this. Recommend adding the club day back into the monthly schedule at the high school and fitting it into the Central School schedule monthly. Recommend adding yearbook journalism club at the Central, and then recommends adding FFEA, Florida Future Educators of America, to both schools, Central and the high school, and it recommend exploring civic organization clubs like Key Club, which is Kiwanis, and the Interact, which is Leo. So those are the 8 recommendations. So what is the pleasure of the board?
Okay. Do I have a motion to, for the increasing club activities at Central and the high school? With the
Mr.
list
Chair.
that you-
I move that we accept all 8 recommendations.
I second.
We have a motion by Ms. Hagan and a second by Ms. Thompson to accept the increasing club activities. Any discussion?
You mentioned the clubs, which I have no problem with. Okay, now what about the supplements?
So that's
Is that gonna be the
negotiated.
next?
That'll be negotiated. I did look, and so some of the supplements range anywhere from $700 up to $1,200, up to $2,900. So I just took a whole range.
Well,
And-
now
and-
that's, yes, you're talking about the 700 for the, okay, but what
This
about?
one.
the
For clubs.
Clubs. They're getting paid a supplement right now, the
A
clubs.
stipend supplement, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Are
Yes.
there any stipends or supplements that will be avoided next year because we're closing the outlying schools?
There's none for the outlying schools.
Now, for instance, you say future teacher, I'm all for this. I mean, they actually have had these in the past. But in other words, that sponsor would get a stipend for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so none of these clubs, FCA, they're all getting a stipend right now.
Well, the high school.
At the high
At the
school,
high
yes,
school, yeah.
ma'am. And the goal and intent is to have it at the central school so they can move in and already be active and go ahead and participate at the high school when they move on.
Just providing opportunities at the central school.
Any more discussion?
Would I need to recuse myself for number 4 as well?
I don't think so, and let me tell you my reasoning is that Mr. Thompson said he's going to volunteer to start the club. Now, so by saying volunteer, I assume he's going to get it going, and then, of course, the issue of the supplement would have to come back, which he may or may not get.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
so I don't think him volunteering makes you recuse yourself, but if, when the supplement were to come up, if he was up for
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Now, when they add this idea, I think this is only an idea too, of a county half-cents tax to help with upgrading the district.
We're not on that.
We're not on, okay, I'm going ahead of the game, okay. All right, I'll slow down.
I don't know
We
what
have our
club that
motion.
is,
It's
but,
disgusting.
We have our motion for the 8 clubs.
okay, now who made the motion, Ms. Hagan?
Ms. Hagan.
Second by Ms. Thompson.
Thompson.
Any more discussion on that? If not, all approve, raise your hand, 5-0. Okay, off-season sports, is that it? Off-season sports and active clubs, yes.
So for this, it says, so this one's kind of weird. It has a couple. So supplements, they recommend visiting how clubs are being evaluated for their pay. Is there a minimum requirement for the sponsor or coach? Establishing minimum requirement that each club or sponsor must do in order to receive the stipend.
And those are just questions.
So, well, it is a concern. It's my understanding it came up that there feels that some club sponsors or individuals receiving stipends are doing absolutely nothing, and while others are putting in tons of work. So there was some discussion about developing some type of rubric for what they're, are you okay, Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, actually.
And so that's,
So-
wouldn't that be for the negotiating team?
So that would have to be done through the union and everything. I think they were,
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't think those are questions that has to be
No,
done to the union, so we shouldn't act on it.
no, so, but it kind of goes into number 2. They recommend additional hours or supplements for coaches and sponsors who participate in the off-season or summer active workouts and competitions during the summer hours. So this is then where it kind of comes all in. So all of these kind of come together. So I think it's 1, 2, and 3 kind of come together, or 1 and 2. So those that are participating in competitions, because I know it was told to me, and I believe Mr. Williams explained it, those that are participating in, so like the competitions, like our cheerleading and our band and our beta club, those are going to national competitions. So those sponsors that are taking to X number of competitions during the summer, they would receive an extra, and that has to be decided between the union. And the same thing then with our sports, those that are having those extra hours during the summer. But that all has to be decided. So that's where 1 and 2 kind of go together. So they want to recommend that something has to kind of be looked at.
So that has to go, we have no say in that, that goes before the union.
It's a matter of whether you agree to it or not, whether you agree to have that
visit it.
explored.
But that doesn't bind us to anything. We
No.
have to ultimately vote on that.
And then The third one was recommend the teachers' union and the district revisit the topic of competitive stipends and supplements to ensure Madison County supplements and stipends are as competitive as our teacher salaries. So they just want you
Our teacher salaries
to,
are not competitive. So
no,
if they want to do that, that's fine with me, because our teachers are being underpaid, so
Yes.
the stipends go down, they'll be underpaid too, so that's.
They're underpaid
That's why we
now.
have to watch our money.
I think they mean
So,
check with
you know,
other
if they're
districts.
basing on the teachers, they are being very underpaid. So they'll be giving up some of that stipend money.
They underpaid already.
correct.
Let's see, that's what I'm saying, the teachers too. And how are
Yes,
you gonna
yes.
compare yourself to the teachers? And some of these people just walk-ons off the street.
I think what they mean is compare it to other districts.
Well, I'm
Stipends.
reading what's here.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't think it clarifies, but I think that's what they mean.
Well, we just can't go on thinking it's in black and white, you understand? And I mean, how would you compare somebody who, and those people who walk on off the street, you know, even, I have a contract with them. I mean, they're just walk-ons that, we give a stipend to, and it's based off what the teachers have negotiated. Because they negotiate for the teachers and the paras, you know, and all that. People who walk on off the street. Some, you know, teachers gotta go through a whole lot to get a college education and whatever, and these people don't have all that stuff and everything. How they're gonna compare themselves to teachers? And paras. Paras has to have so many hours too, 6 hours or an 8th degree.
I don't think they're comparing themselves to a teacher.
Well, they trying, this is in black and white, Mr. Carroll.
That's
we
not the
can't-
way I'm looking at it. That's not the way I read it.
Okay.
I'm just, what I'm reading, if the teacher salaries go up, then the supplements go up a little bit. That's how I'm reading it. I'm not reading it that, you know, that they go up before the
It said
teachers.
recommend the teachers union and district revisit the topic of competitive stipends and supplements to ensure that Madison County School District's supplements and stipends are as competitive as teaching salaries. Or as competitive as teaching salaries. That's what I get
So,
out of that.
so if we raise, well, I'm reading, you know, I'm simple, I'm not real complicated. But if we raise our teachers' salaries up there to like Jefferson's, then our supplements ought to be up there like Jefferson's.
But
You see what I'm
that's
saying?
plain
I mean,
language.
that's what they saying. That's, that, I
But
mean,
see, I'm
in
just
a,
reading in plain English. That's plain
I think it's
English
just a
there.
choice of verbiage that they
And
used.
here's the thing about it, our teacher salary is not gonna ever go up to Jefferson because they got all that money. And we don't have all that extra money to give.
They got $5
We give
million.
as much as we can give, and it's still not enough. But Jefferson has all kind of extra money, and our salaries are not gonna go up as high as Jefferson's salaries.
I hope they do.
And I do too, but you know, we look at the
Then
money,
if
and
they,
the union looks at the money
I
that
just
we
use
have
that
too.
as an example. Then if they don't, then they don't.
Well,
I
I
mean,
ain't
it's
finna
that,
compare
it's that
nobody
simple.
walking off the streets.
I don't know nothing about walking off the
salary.
streets now. I don't know nothing about
But
that.
we have so many people who are with these things, walking just right off the streets, and I've made my point.
They walk off the street, they spend about 500 hours and they get $2,000. That's what they get.
But I'm reading, they wanted it as competitive,
See, I don't
as teaching.
understand.
And see, that's plain language,
I
that's
don't,
plain language. You can interpret it the way that you want to, but how it's wrote there in plain language, that's plain simple language. They might have phrased it wrong or whatever, but that's what's in front of us. Not their intention, but that's what is there.
all right. All right. Any more discussion?
Okay, number 4, Ms. Gibson, I think this is the one you were on a while ago, recommend the exploring ways to raise funds to upgrade all athletic facilities, the idea of a county half-cent sales tax, or half-cent tax to help with upgrading the district's athletic facilities, the high school football field, bleachers, track, field house, tennis courts, the central school weight room, locker rooms, etc.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
don't we have a contract with Rutherford's for $780,000, including all this stuff?
Not all of it.
No, it's
Not all of it,
No.
but most of it we do. And a half-cent sales tax, I ain't paying it, and I ain't voting for it. And I wouldn't put it on nobody in the county. And we already got a half, what, 8%?
8%.
We're poor county.
It's not 8% now.
And we did a 0.5% for the hospital, and we still paying a 0.5%, 1/2% for the hospital. And just to get some special, and that hospital was for the whole county and anybody else who would come here. But this is just to upgrade a little few facilities. And then, let's say a 0.5 sales tax is gonna be a burden on everybody. And people just not able to afford that 0.5 sales tax. But it's not for us anyway, the county commissioners and the people got to vote on it.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean, the audacity of them to suggest something, a 0.5 sales tax, and I bet they won't vote for it either.
well, my hope is that with the savings
Savings.
we're gonna incur,
Amen.
we can, as a district, look to upgrade some facilities. I'm not for the 0.5 sales tax.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I
Can
concur.
I say one thing?
Yes.
One thing to remember about that half-penny sales tax is that's not, at the county commission doesn't levy that. That's under chapter, that's what I was looking up. It's under section 212.055. To levy it, this board would have to, by resolution, say that you want to levy it. You'd have to have a list of projects. You'd enact the resolution, that would send it to a referendum, and then the people would have to vote
Vote
on it.
on it,
So
okay.
that's your process.
We can do the resolution, it doesn't have to go through the county commission.
It does not.
Okay.
And your resolution's gotta say we wanna levy it, and here are all the projects we're gonna use it for,
Okay.
and the number of years you're gonna levy it, because you
Well,
don't, it's not on there forever.
I-
We
So-
still doing that for the hospital.
I think we're trying to, as a district, be fiscally responsible with our funding. And if, not to bring up the past, but this is not what we need to ask for funding for.
No, and I think at the end of the day, under previous administration, unfortunately, the facilities, the responsibility of the facilities has been bounced back onto the sports or the organizations, and it's put a huge burden on them and, their fundraising. And we, as a district, should have been maintaining these buildings all along. We shouldn't be putting that burden on the taxpayers when we're trying to, consolidate to save money. The district should be responsible for maintaining those buildings.
I agree.
I agree.
Can I go back to number 1? Do you want me to push this to the union and maybe back to the committee? Recommend visit how clubs are being evaluated. Is there a minimum requirement for the sponsor or coach? Establish a minimum requirement that each club or sponsor must do in order to receive the stipend. Do you want me to
Well,
push
Are
that?
we gonna vote on it one
I-
by one?
We kind of skipped past it, so, I mean, like, I would move to, to recommend that we address those issues, in our, upcoming bargaining.
Okay. So 1 and 2, and then the hours for
Right, and
the
that's,
summer.
I'm only one, so.
I would second that motion.
What was the motion?
So the one was the how clubs are evaluated as far as establishing the minimum requirement that each club or sponsor must do in order to receive the stipend. And then 2 was the additional hours or supplement for coaches or sponsors who participate in off-season / summer active workouts or competitions during the summer months.
So you're saying we kick that back to the union?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
During
You mean-
bargaining.
There are coaches that are working during the summer that are not getting paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, they're not getting anything other than the regular
The
supplement.
regular
And I
supplement.
think when you revisit what the description is going to be in there, and we put guidelines of what the expectations and standards are, we need to take into consideration when we negotiate that stipend, that they're gonna be working summer hours. I don't think there needs to be a separate stipend, in
No.
my opinion, for a summer club. It needs to be built into the
I
stipend.
agree.
You can't do that. I mean, you can for clubs, but you can't do that for sports. 'cause
Well, but we know what sports are working during the summer, why
I
can't you?
know, but not all coaches work in sports.
Right,
You see what I'm saying?
Well, it would have to be individual.
right.
like
You would have to have,
basketball.
you would have to have
Sports,
individual
it's easy to
ones.
decide those
Right.
who work in sports, they get it. Those who does not work in sports, they do not get it.
No, see, y'all don't understand what I'm saying. Some of them guys that got jobs,
Right.
that walk off the street, them walk off the street dudes.
Yes.
They
who
don't
compare
get
themselves to the
to,
teacher.
they don't get to come. They don't get to come
I understand that, but when we set these up, when we renegotiate them and we put descriptions in place, we need to have the ones that are going to be for summer and spring and all year long, and just your walk off the street people that are just gonna be serving.
And we refer to him as a community coach.
Well,
Community coach.
yes.
Community coach.
Whatever we are.
Coach Harris, do you have something you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think what Coach is trying to say is that, you know, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, but I think what Coach is trying to say is what I think what he's trying to say, it needs to be separate, because then you can have the hours, you know, because if you say like football is getting X amount of dollars for summer pay too, but that one coach that's getting that supplement doesn't work in the summer, should he be getting that money?
Right.
And he shouldn't be. You
Right.
understand what
Yes.
and so, but the guys that are working in the summer, basketball works in the summer, you know, everybody should be. Yeah, so the people that are working though should be compensated for their time, right?
And that's what I'm saying. There is
And
one
that's what I was saying,
supplement
so.
for with summer
Yeah,
and
like
one without, is what I'm saying. It could still be, it could still be built into the supplement, but you're gonna have one that includes summers and
But-
one without.
And I'm gonna tell you.
And that's for the union to decide.
And this
Right.
was my research that I did, so when I looked at all of them, most counties just designated a set amount of hours.
Okay,
So, you know, like a coach gets X amount of hours in the summer to work. Does that make sense? And so that's how most of the places did. So they would give, you know, whoever would get whatever the hours that
Right.
we decide.
So this
And I-
has to go to the union, that consideration
ma'am.
has to go to the
correct.
union.
Now, this is going to be a dumb question, excuse me, but for instance, football, they work during the summer, right? You're preparing them for the season.
Yes, ma'am.
So all of your coaches are receiving a supplement right now.
My coaches supplements are for the season.
Oh,
So
just,
there's no summer pay. Now, Coach Harris
Oh, I
gets,
see.
Coach Harris does, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm
Okay.
12 month and I'm an
I
athletic
understand.
director, and I'm not looking for anything. I don't want that. But, you know, I wouldn't be wanting anything else. You get what I'm saying? So, but the other coaches that are working that are not
that's
deserve
the
it.
season,
That
when the
deserve
season
it. Yeah,
begins.
they deserve it.
So who's there with the kids during the summer? then?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They're there every day.
Oh,
And
they're-
it's Monday, Tuesday,
They're there.
Thursday.
Okay,
And they're there,
Well,
they're, and basketball's
compliment
doing it the same thing. They're about
Okay.
3 days a week.
Yes.
So,
I gotcha.
basketball deserves it as well, and whoever else is doing
So
it.
that's why we identify those people.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But hours might be easier than,
Than people.
than putting it onto a supplement.
Okay.
Okay, just,
I didn't know that. Thank you for clarifying that.
That's just what I said.
Okay, I will push 1 and 2 to Mr. Dietzen when I speak with him
okay,
to have that start with negotiations.
okay. Do we need to take a vote,
We
though?
need a motion.
We have a motion in a second. We just need a vote.
Who motioned?
Katie, motion, I second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Thompson
And that's for 1 and 2.
for 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All approved. 5-0. Okay,
That's all of them.
that's it?
That's all of them.
Good. Good deal. All right. We're going over here, approval of policy revisions. Do I have a motion? We had that, we had the policy revisions and we had a public hearing, right?
They've been advertised.
We advertised now.
Today, right now, you're having a
Public hearing now. So I'm opening up a public hearing for our policy revisions that we have advertised.
And those were the ones that Mrs. Kaufman presented to us.
In January.
Yes. Mhm.
Anybody in the public want to say anything about the policy revisions? One time? Anybody? 2 times? Oh, got one.
I honestly don't know what they are because I didn't see them getting out, so
They
that's
were
my answer.
online, ma'am, and they were whatever. The process started in January. It didn't just start. And so they were online. We had they were presented here in the meetings. And so this is just a final vote. We did give it to the general public.
Lizzie, if you stop by one day, I'll show you how to pull that stuff up so that you can,
All I'm saying
Yeah.
is I did not physically see it.
yeah. If
And
you
that's
stop
how I'm
by,
leaving it.
if you stop by the office one day, I'll show you how to pull all that up so that you can see them, okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I agree with her. In the past, you've always at least named the policy that you're asking to be revised. At least inform the public as to what it is.
Didn't we do that?
We
We
did
did
that
in
in
January,
January.
we went through each one
No,
individually.
I'm just saying right now, as you get ready to take your vote, you usually identify the policy. I'm not
You
saying.
want to go through the list?
Just identify.
You want to go through the list?
Well, you can go through the list, because I don't have it.
It's right here.
It's in
I
board
have
docs.
it.
I
Get
mean,
ready to
I had
vote.
it in January.
Online and see it, it's okay for me, but I'm just thinking.
I say, okay, policy 1010, board superintendent relationship. Policy 0131, legislative. Policy 0165, meetings. Policy 1129, tutoring. Policy 1129, conflict of interest. Got two 129. Policy 1210, standards of ethical conduct. 1231, outside activities of administrators. 1242, professional development. 1281, use of employees' personal property at school. 1362, anti-harassment. 2210, curriculum development. 2215, program of instruction. 2260, non-discrimination and access to equal educational opportunities. 2431, interscholastic athletics. 2271, articulation and access to Florida college system institutions. 2370, educational options. 2370 again, virtual instruction. 2371, Hope scholarships. 2415, tutoring for credit. 2421, career and technical education. 2421 again, career and technical education. 2423, school to work program. 2432, driver's education. 2440, summer programs. 2455, dropout prevention and academic intervention programs. 2460, exceptional student education. 2520, selection of adoption of instructional materials. 2521, instructional materials program. 2522, challenges to adoption or use of instructional library or reading list materials. 2540, audio visual use rescind policy. 2700, academically high performing school districts. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, since you've heard those policies, is there one that you want to ask a question about for right now? Okay, thank you.
I was saying that I did not see it.
Yes, ma'am. So there are none that you would want to ask a question about since you've heard them? Okay.
Okay,
So I will remind the board, these are all just the updates provided by Neola.
okay. We're gonna close the public hearing, and do I have a motion to approve the policy revisions?
I move to approve the policy provisions.
I second.
Have a motion by Ms. Gibson, a second by Ms. Thompson to approve the policy revisions. All approve? Oh, I forgot to say, y'all got any discussions on any of them? Okay, all approve, one more time, 5-0. Okay, superintendent items.
As you heard earlier, tomorrow is where'd she go? She was over there. Tomorrow's career day for Central School. However, they will be at the high school, so please go out and join if you can. Tour around. It will be very enlightening. So I know that sixth graders will be having a great time. Next week is also spring break, so if you're trying to hunt somebody or a teacher or something other than those, it'll be very busy moving stuff. But most people will be enjoying spring break, some needed rest. The third calc was actually released today. It was very interesting. I was messaging our chancellor and saying, are we going to be getting this anytime soon? And he said, you will have it soon. And sure enough, about 2 hours later, I received it, so I printed it out so we can start trying to go through. And so we'll hopefully be able to then start trying to work to update our budget and see where we stand and everything. As far as construction updates, we are 70% finished on our roof, and they have pulled out all the floor in the gym. And so they are moving right along on the roof at the central school. So busy with that. And then lastly, I am pleased to announce on behalf of Madison County that we shared our full support with all the Senate staff today for the repeal of Senate Bill 296 on the school start times. So I started calling, and then Ms. Tammy finished up for me, and I think some of you guys may have called too. And it did pass today. So it moves right on to our next step. So I'm happy to report that. So that's all I have at this moment.
Okay. Ms. Reeves?
No, sir, unless you have questions.
All right, Miss Hagan?
I have nothing to say.
I had the pleasure of attending the creative writing contest ceremony. I'd like to congratulate again all the winners and all those who participated. I was so happy and proud to see so many K through 6 participants, because that's actually where it all begins. Thank you.
Yes, creative writing was a wonderful ceremony. Congratulations to all the winners. I would like to thank our young lady for coming out and praying for us this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you to her mama for bringing her out here to us this evening. I would also like to just wish our staff a wonderful spring break. I know it's that time of year, and it's needed and long overdue. So I just hope you guys are able to just enjoy yourselves. And I would like to just extend some great appreciation to our transition team that will actually be working during the spring break to be able to, get us transitioned and get the consolidation process. Your hard work that you're putting into this, in your off time is greatly appreciated. Thank you all.
I would also like to say that I hope you all have a wonderful spring break. Hopefully you're doing something fun and restful. And I would like to thank all of our committees. You have been working very hard, presenting to us all of your recommendations, and they're very well thought out. I can tell that there has been a lot of discussion and thought and care that has gone into the recommendations you've made. This is not an easy process, but having team members, staff, people in the community that are coming together despite the odds to work together to make this successful has been wonderful and refreshing. I'd also like to thank our staff members, our community members, our parents, and our student that came out today to pray. Thank you all for everything you do, and hope you guys have a wonderful spring break.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight and being here. Thank you, young lady, for the prayer. I'd like to thank all our people for everything they do. All of them, and hopefully they'll stay with us and continue doing it. So that's all I got.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.